Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tennyson E Stead, writer and director, founding member of 8-Sided Films, here with another 8-Sided blog today. And, the simple joys of screenwriting is, I think, what we're going to talk about today. I am working on breaking down Making the Gamp, which is our Hollywood satire micro-budget feature that we're going to be crowdfunding pretty soon. And I'm not, frankly, making as fast progress as I would like. I need to pick up the slack on that. But in the meantime, I've also been working on a script for a producer that I know and an actor that I know, which I can't really talk too much about because it's not my project. But it's been a lot of fun to put my own problems aside and work on somebody else's problems for a little bit and give a group of good people exciting performance challenges and exciting production challenges to solve that are different from the performance and production challenges that I'm usually engaging with my own ensemble. So it's been a little bit of a refreshing sort of hit the reset button in that regard, to let other people worry about some of the stuff that I'm always worried about when I'm writing screenplays, like how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? It's like, well, these aren't unreasonable goals that I'm setting, but they're goals that someone still has to solve, and I get to let somebody else do that. So that's been really refreshing. And one of the other sort of fun parts of this process for me, and this is what I want to talk about today, is the fact that so many people in Hollywood don't deliver on their word that what is for me meeting standard goals and just doing what I said I would do. I set a deadline for the delivery of the script, and the actor that I'm writing for is someone who knows the producer pretty well, and they're always talking to each other. So I'm giving the actor regular updates, and they're getting passed on to the producer, and every single time it happens, the producer is surprised that the script is where it is, when in reality I made the obligations and the commitments that I made because I knew I could deliver on them, and this is for me just a matter of sticking to the schedule that I created for myself. So, there's a lot of faith in Hollywood put in the notion of late night cramming and putting things off to the last minute and procrastination, and also the idea that budget overruns and time overruns and just in general overextension is going to be forgiven. That's something that people place a lot of trust in this town. And one of the things that you lose when you build systems for placing that trust and for if you're a producer and you know that screenwriters don't deliver on time, so you go ahead and you extend your production schedule accordingly without taking the time to find someone who can write well and also within the confines of the schedule that they agreed to, then what you wind up doing in the long run is making little itty-bitty compromises in the interest of giving people space to fail that add up. And when you cast a film with the idea that the actors aren't necessarily going to be as good as you need them to or as good as the script needs them to, and then you start whittling away at the quality of the script to make room for the bad acting, you make all these little tiny compromises that by the end of a production process and a post-production process that in some cases goes on for a year with independent films or longer, all those little tiny compromises wind up eating very significantly into the excellence of the work that you do. And one of the things that we talked about, going back to some of the earlier 8-Sided blogs and also going back to the developmental breakdown, which I wrote right after my brain injury, is the idea that spectacle comes from showing people doing something that the audience or the viewer didn't intrinsically accept that people could do. It was outside their fundamental assumptions about what people can do. When they see that, they are awed, they are engaged. And spectacle can come from subtle things. Spectacle can come from a script that moves faster and is tighter and more engaging than audiences were expecting screenplays can be. And it can come from actors keeping up with that script and delivering performances that are deep and profound and interesting and excellent to a degree that audiences weren't prepared to watch it. And then you pile on top of that a special effect or two that people weren't aware was possible, and now you have a mind-blowing movie out of very simple fundamentals. Right? So, as much as you can pile the compromises that you can make onto a project to try and make room for people who are mediocre or inadequate, even if it's just mediocre and inadequate by a little bit, even if they're mostly pretty good, but not good in these ways, you make room for those failures. Those failures pile up as much as they do. You can also make room for people to perform more excellently than you yourself are prepared for them to perform. And what you want and what you must cultivate is a community of people who are constantly surprising you with their excellence and supporting you with their professionalism. Because when you give those people the support they need to live up to the expectations that they set, and then they exceed those expectations, now you start to see the little bits of spectacle pile up over the course of a project. And if you cultivate that over the course of what, in the case of an independent film, could be, as I said, as long as a year of pre-production, production, and post, or more, all those little bits of spectacle add up into something big. And that's how I strive to manage 8-sided films. And it's been fun to watch another producer sort of step back and go, whoa, what's happening? This is good and it's working. I don't trust it. What's going on? It's empowering. It's empowering to give people the opportunity to do their best work. And it's been fun to offer that to some new friends. So that's been a fun challenge, fun screenwriting challenge for the last, well, almost a month now, and I've got 2 more weeks before I deliver my rough draft. And in the meantime, I'm going to speed that process up and make a little more room for the GAMP breakdown so I can get GAMP on schedule. And that's been what I've been up to lately. So thank you for sharing. If you like these 8-sided blogs, please give us a thumbs up. Let us know you're watching. Give us a subscribe, because there's a lot of content that's going to be coming out on the 8-sided films channel, particularly as we get into the crowdfunding and then the pre-production of making the GAMP. There's going to be a lot of content around that, both blogs with cast members and probably blogs with characters, and we're gonna have cameras around a lot, because we can't waste not, want not. It's a micro-budget film, always be rolling, because we're not going to have the money to fill in those spaces later. So we'll try and catch as much of it on the fly as we can, and challenge one another to communicate with you. It's been an interesting week. It's been an interesting month, and I look forward to sharing the results. And as far as this project goes, at some point I'll be able to say what the project is and who's involved. And it's a fun project, and I think it's going to be really rewarding for everybody. I think it's going to be exciting. I think a lot of people are going to take a lot of positive things away from it. It's a feel-good movie for sure. So it's nice to have that, because I've been writing a lot of intense stuff lately as well. That is the end of this 8-sided blog. Thank you for watching. Give us the thumbs up. Have yourself a great week, and I will catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.